that is of nightmares. It is really horrendous the way Black pupils have been treated and still continue to be treated going forward. Sarah, morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning and good morning to your listeners.
Nice to have you here. Are you a parent of a child at the school?
I actually am a parent of a child at the school, but I'm also a member of the recently established Diversity and Transformation Committee.
How long ago was this committee formed?
Well, the committee was formed as an ad hoc committee in November, but was last year and formalized as a subcommittee of the board in the beginning of this year.
Is it a direct result of all of the complaints the school has been receiving about racism?
In fact, it is. I always, when we speak to the general community, I always emphasize the fact that the establishment of the committee was not necessarily because of the generosity of the board. In fact, it was because of the push from the ground that the school had no option but to set up a structure that will enable them to hear the cries of both parents and pupils.
So this committee was formed in November, and lo and behold, we now hear things coming to the fore about how Black children have been insulted, degraded, and obviously just bullied. You know, that really is it. When a teacher is unkind to a child and, calls the child or criticizes a child, I see it nothing short of bullying. And really, it says a lot about the teacher and the school. They don't feel good about themselves. Perhaps they feel possibly even threatened that here are these amazing Black children from amazing families staring us straight in the face and showing us that they are as equal or if not better than we are, we with our lily white skins and our superiority complexes.
Yeah, in fact, these children actually started this whole action. So yesterday was really us coming to amplify their voices. Sometime last year, they penned down a document which they refer to as an addendum of 54 pages, wherein each one of them actually shared their testimonials of their experiences of racism in the classroom and outside the classroom. I think what has been very striking, and I guess that's why we are standing, is that whilst the children are saying this is how we've experienced the school for so many years, there has been no accountability at the level of the school. There has been no consequences for anybody that has been accused of doing those things to young kids. So we are very concerned not only about the fact that children are speaking out and they are sharing their experiences, but we are very concerned about the manner in which the school has postured in relation to all these issues that have been raised by our children. We believe, even in the many interviews that the school is doing through the headmaster, we actually are not feeling that the headmaster is displaying any sense of empathy. Because all the kids want is they really want a school that will say, this should not have happened. We acknowledge there's a problem. We are sorry, and we are committed to move at a very fast pace to make sure that things are different for you from here on.
All right. Has your own child also experienced this form of discrimination?
Yes. I mean, I had two children in the school. One has just recently left. And the experience I've had with my kids was also around here, where a teacher would in fact, not just that, but them calling a Black teacher to speak to our children about their hair, which suggests to me that they actually know that there's something wrong with the manner in which, in fact, with them raising the issue in the first place. So instead of coming out and saying, I want to understand, they refer our children to a Black teacher whom they say, speak to your children about the hair and the fact that this hair is not in line with the school policy. So it's one of the many things that the children have experienced, the children have complained about. But I'm not rising because my child has gone through this situation with the school. I'm rising because this is a pattern. It is not an isolated incident. It is a pattern that has been carried out by the school. And it is about time that all of us actually rise and say enough is enough on behalf of our children.
Absolutely. My final question to you, more statement. I'm wondering, what is it with white people and their obsession about black hair? What's it all about? Can they not just accept that the texture of my hair, your hair, and their hair is completely different?
And I think that's the problem. The problem is people of a different color deciding to use their lens and perspective to make judgment of what is wrong and what is right. And I think this is what we've been saying. We've been saying it cannot be correct. And for me, it starts with just the composition of the staff. If you are going to deliberately only hire white teachers, you are bound to have these problems because you are not allowing diversity. So you are not allowing a different perspective into the school. And that's why you have these teachers who are white, not only victimizing our children in the classroom, but also breaking our children insofar as their own identity. Because the lens through which they view our children is the lens they know. And it's a lens that is very discriminatory in nature.
I actually think that this issue should be going to the Human Rights Commission. And I really, the people that have perpetrated these atrocities should be taken to task. They should lose their jobs. They should be penalized in the severest form ever. But we're going to leave you there, Sarah, because Zulaikha is standing by to join us. Thank you indeed for your thoughts, and thank you for standing up for our children and the future of our children. This is South Africa, and the sooner races begin to change their thinking and accept the fact that they're living in Africa, they should start thinking like Africans. Things are never going to change. But thank you indeed.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
My pleasure. 8:28, and we are now joined by Zulaikha Patel. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure entirely. So tell me, Zulaikha, are you a current pupil at the school or an ex-pupil?
No, I'm not. I didn't even go to Cornwall. I matriculated at Girls High.
Okay. So you matriculated at another school, but you're very passionate about what is unfolding at Cornwall. Why?
I've had the exact same, similar, exactly the same, the exact same experience at Pretoria Girls High, right in 2016.
Oh no.
And for me, I'm deeply pained by the fact that those younger than me have to even go through the very same experience and have to even have their entire childhood disrupted because they have to fight battles which should have been fought a long time ago, and battles that should have been fought 27 years ago when democracy was being negotiated for the country.
Absolutely. How did you respond when you were called out on the texture of your hair? I also understand that at Cornwall, the reference was made to a black child's hair as being similar to a potskaura or steel wool or some such thing. And also when African pupils talk in their mother language, that it somehow or the other upsets the teachers concerned. Why do you believe that's an issue? And when you were discriminated against, how did you respond?
This is an issue that stems even beyond just the apartheid history of this country, but goes deeper into colonialism, and it stems back then. Even the issue of us not being allowed to speak our mother tongue in institutions of education, that stems very far back into our history of colonialism, where that was the first time when we were barred from speaking our mother tongue, and we were forced to converse in a language which is not ours, the language which arrived in a boat, and make that our daily norm and own it as if it is ours. That's a much deeper issue. And the issue of hair as well, for me, hair has always just been one symptom of a deeper diagnosis. And the deeper diagnosis of the problem is that this is deeper. We're dealing with systemic racism. These aren't isolated incidents. This is all an entire large system which we're dealing with. And that system is in the very root of the problem. And the root of the problem is that in our country, apartheid has not fully been eradicated. It's been eradicated by name, by law, by a constitution which was once constitutionalized. The racist constitution has been fully abandoned, and the mere name of the system has been abandoned. However, when you look at the material conditions and you look at the social interactions and conditions in the country, there hasn't been much change. And you can see the very effects of that system manifesting today in our democracy. And for me, it's just always been something much deeper than just isolated incidents. And how I responded at the time was, as you know, in 2016 in Girls High, we did have a movement that addressed racism at the time, where the MEC did arrive and there was an investigation. And the problem came in with the fact that you had elected officials which paraded the matter and highlighted the matter, but never actually did anything sufficient about holding those that were responsible for the racial abuse of Black children accountable, to a point whereby people who had done atrocious things to Black girls at the time were fired. None of that happened, where in actual fact, all they got was a slap on the hand and they had to attend diversity training. I personally do not think that to the depth of the problem that we have, that diversity trainings are going to help us. I do not even think that diversity should be the solution. Inclusion and diversity are completely different things. Diversity is merely being seen. Inclusion is to be heard and to be fully present and to allow for your voice to be heard. And you cannot just dilute everything down to just being seen.
Okay, Zulaikha, tell me, what action do you believe needs to be taken against these people, these racist people that make all of these atrocious racist remarks? Because
I believe that this matter should go to the Concord.
Okay.
Honestly, and I think that the matter as well shouldn't even be dealt with from a one school perspective, but it should go to the Concord as dealing with a national crisis here, whereby there hasn't been redress in the system of education, which we do know that historically there has been an impact on the entire system of education, making it creating those inequalities and creating inequalities in it. So there hasn't been enough redress in the entire system of education. And on Section 9 of the Constitution, there is a point at point number 2C that states that redress should take place to ensure that the racial inequalities that exist in the system of education are bridged. And so I think that the matter should go to Concord, and it should be dealt with from a national perspective, whereby there's an entire policy introduced that on a national level, there should not be any form of discrimination on a Black person's identity should be prohibited, and there should even be consequences for those that do discriminate on a Black person's identity, because this is something much deeper. When I say hair it's much deeper than just hair.
Okay.
You're dealing with someone's identity and entire existence.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, Zulaikha, but we will be watching the story as it unfolds. And I do agree with you. Stern action needs to take place. I'm thinking, maybe fines or people losing their jobs, to that point. Only then, once drastic action, only when drastic action is taken against these perpetrators, will this type of practice stop. It will stop for once and for all. When it hurts their pockets very hard, that is when this discrimination will stop. But that's where we have to leave it. As I've said, we will be watching this space very closely. That was Zulaikha Patel, anti-racism and social justice activist, talking on the issue at Cornwall Hill College and the school that she graduated out of as well, which was Pretoria Girls High.
Any appeal, love Palestine.